The fastest way to create original content with AI. I've been obsessing over productivity for content creation ever since ChatGPT was introduced. I've been experimenting with new, smoother, and faster content creation methods all of the time. And after more experimentation, I found an even quicker content creation process. In this episode, I'll share all the steps of this particular workflow with you so you can try it out and see if it suits you. So let's begin. Step number one, hit record and start talking. I see many people asking ChatGPT to create content for them. But if you ask GPT to write, it will always produce deathly boring content. Because of that, in all content creation workflows I've experimented with, you need to be the source of the ideas, stories, and experiences. And you have been following me for a while, you're probably already familiar with my previous content writing workflow. I used to type it all myself, random style, without paying attention to editing or formatting yet, and have GPT edit all that mess. But recently, I realized that simply talking is quicker, smoother, and more natural than writing everything from scratch. So, you talk and have Whisper, OpenAI's speech to text model, transcribe it for you. This way, you can quote unquote write as fast as you can talk, probably at a speed of 150 or even 170 words per minute instead of 50 words per minute as if you were writing yourself. Now, what surprised me about Whisper is its excellent ability to transcribe speech. Even though I am a foreigner with a kind of weird accent, Whisper still picks up everything that I say. Currently there are two ways to access Whisper. The first one is using the ChatGPT mobile app. Simply turn on the microphone using the mobile app and start talking, and then Whisper will transcribe everything for you. Or number two, using the Whisper API. If you decide to use the Whisper API, you will need a little bit of coding and a technical background to create this workflow. So, if you are not a technically inclined person, I recommend using the ChatGPT mobile app. Step number two, edit with GPT. From now on, the workflow remains unchanged. GPT is an excellent editor. It's very good at conveying your point, figuring out your tone of voice, and everything else about your writing style. So, we simply hand the transcript created in the previous step and ask for GPT to revise according to our guidelines. Now, another benefit of having GPT as the editor is that, contrary to what most people think, it's the editing that is the most time consuming step when writing, not really the writing itself. Which means this step alone will save you more than half of the time you spend writing. So, to sum up everything up until this point, first, you speak and record what you've just said. Number two, get the transcript with Whisper, either using the API or using the ChatGPT mobile app, and then you hand it to GPT to edit accordingly. At this point, you have finished nearly 90% of your post, and you barely spent more than 5 minutes for a 500 words piece of content. Step number three, reread everything you wrote and add your own personal touch to it. After steps one and two, you will naturally want to reword, reorder, and add some stuff that you've missed. This is a normal part of the writing process. So, in this step, you are mostly polishing your content. Step number 4, repeat until satisfied. Simply repeat steps 1, 2, and 3 until you are happy with the result. The natural writing process without AI works exactly this way. But writing and editing is so time consuming that a 1,000 words piece of content takes hours to be finished. On the other hand, using AI makes everything much faster, thus allowing you to produce content in very little time, practically as fast as you can talk about it. For example, for example, I just published on LinkedIn an article about this very topic. This article had 800 words and took me close to 30 minutes to finish. And not to mention that I still have a lot of creative energy in the tank to continue producing more content. The writers out there know how depleting writing can be. And if you use AI, you still have a lot of creative energy to continue your work day. So, in the end, this particular workflow saved me a lot of time and energy to invest in the tasks that will move my projects further. Of course, this particular workflow has its downsides. The main one being that speaking your content instead of writing takes a lot of practice. Sometimes your thoughts can't keep up with the speed at which you're talking, to the point where you can stumble over your words and even forget what was your point to begin with. If you don't have a basic outline, you will probably start rambling, and most of the stuff you will talk about will be unstructured, pointless, and without direction. Maybe if you already have a lot of practice talking and giving speeches, you'll be able to just hit the record button and start winging it. But I realize that is not the reality for most people, me included. So, to sum everything up, hit record and start talking. Get the transcript and have GPT edit your transcript into a coherent post for you. Then simply add your own personal touch to the finished article and improve it as necessary.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Please check the link in the description to subscribe to my weekly free newsletter, where I break down everything you need to know about AI, such as prompt engineering, AI automation and efficiency, and AI driven content marketing. Just click the link in the description. You can also follow me on Twitter. My handle is Luke_AI_insights. See you later and stay tuned for the next episode.